We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Sonya Thomas is with us this morning, Executive Director of Nashville PROPEL, and she's passionate about this, and I really appreciate your passion. We need every parent to be passionate about making sure their children get good schools, and some of the numbers out of Metro, and trust me, there are similar numbers in school districts across the state, but here in Nashville, especially in some of the black and brown communities, you were just talking about one school where 3 students out of more than 380 are proficient at reading. 390. 3 students out of 390 are proficient in reading. Only 3. That's stunning. And now we were talking too, and we're going to get to the phone calls here in a moment, but last week Metro's Director of Schools announced, the district's achievement of 48 top-tier reward schools. Now, those are the schools that are doing very well, but not necessarily the schools that are all doing very well. It's schools that have shown improvement. There's some schools that may be getting off a list that they were behind, that get onto this list and still are only 11% comprehensive reading ability?
Correct.
Well, how? Okay, so because they show some improvement, anyone who thinks 11% of the student population being proficient reading is good is just dead wrong. Now, is that improvement? That's accurate, right? So that's a step in the right direction, but is that enough?
It's not enough. And I always, as an executive director, I have a team. And so, we celebrate. We celebrate because it builds momentum.
Sure.
And so
and morale.
And morale. Like, we are celebrating that those schools are growing, but at the rate of growth that they're going now, they'll be 80 years old before they learn how to read.
It's not funny. It's awful. It's awful. Let's take a call from John. John, good morning. Hi, John. Are you there, John?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm here.
Good morning.
Listening in.
Go ahead, sir.
Good morning.
What's on your mind?
Yeah. Well, I got more of a comment. My name is John, and I'm a member of PROPEL as well. And the reason we do this work, there's some neighborhoods that we've been knocking on doors and talking to parents where from kindergarten to 12th grade, they attend one of these low-performing schools that Sonya is referencing. And I think it's criminal. And when we go to these doors and you listen to people, and this is in East Nashville, you hear from people to say, well, it can't be done. But the reason why I love working with Nashville PROPEL, because we just believe that if President Kennedy can come out and tell the world that we're going to fly a man to the moon, and not only fly a man, but fly multiple people, I think we can, spend a little time really teaching kids how to read. And so that is the fuel that drives us. And these numbers, I mean, it's disheartening, it's heartbreaking. But when you meet these parents who live in Nashville, who are working their best to try to survive and provide their kids with a place to live, now that, rents are increasing, you can't do nothing but really keep driving. And as Sonya said, we got to hold the system accountable. We have over $1 billion budget each year for our schools, just for our schools. And I think we can take that money and really get to the nitty-gritty and teach kids how to read.
Thank you very much, and he's right on point on that. And by the way, you talk about the big money, and he mentioned that there. The budget's there. It's not like PROPEL is sitting here saying throw more money at this problem. You're saying the money, at least in Metro, as you said, it's so much, is there.
It's there. It's
more the system that the money's being spent on, parental involvement, insisting that more be done, right?
This is the thing. You have a system that regulates and operates itself.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to hold yourself accountable. Okay? So that may be a part of the problem. As far as money goes, we understand that money is needed to operate the system, but we don't feel like that is the primary problem for the system.
Okay.
That's an excuse. And we don't have time to make excuses and
we just don't have enough money. That's not it. And throwing more money without changing the process and what's happening in these small is not going to solve the thing.
It's not. It's just like a home budget. I mean, you can make more money, but if you don't make the adjustments and change the behavior, the mindset in your home, you'll just go through that money.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's take another phone call. We're going to go to Kimberly next. Kimberly, good morning. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi.
Hey, what's on your mind?
Well, it's a comment.
Okay.
Again, my name is Kimberly Moore, and I am a Nashville PROPEL council parent.
Okay.
My comment is, Miss Sonya, you look beautiful today, but also I just really appreciate you all for the work that you all and I are doing to make sure that all of the parents, grandparents, cousins, aunties, everybody knows what these priority schools mean. But my question to you, Ms. Sonya, is with ELA and math, what part of that also, in what part of it does emotional development have in that?
Okay, that's a good question.
Thank you for your call, ma'am.
Yeah, so I'm not an expert, but I'll tell you this. When a child is unable to read and they're sitting in the classroom, and let's just say that the teacher calls on their name to read and they're unable to read, it does something to them emotionally. As far as maturity, so I'm going to answer this two ways because she could have asked the question two ways. As far as maturity, when you think about ages 2 to 3, those are like the peak times to make sure that we're exposing children to different things.
Where you sit and read with them?
Reading with them, but also like phonemic awareness, letter sounds, those types of things.
Okay.
And I think that, you know, as far as emotional development, there are things that can be done for all children. There's not a child, unless they have like a severe learning disability, who can't be taught. All children can be taught how to read.
I agree.
99% of all children can be taught how to read. And what I am glad about is that we're going to have some good things going on in Tennessee as far as forming our literacy backpack. Our educators are getting some professional development, which is not mandatory, and we can talk about that a little bit. It needs to be mandatory and not a negotiable thing. Making sure that children understand phonics, phonemic awareness, fluency, and comprehension. You can't leave any of those things out. And so for far too long, we've had some really, really poor literacy practices. And I'm just excited about the fact that Tennessee is getting with the program. The district is starting to understand that they have to get with the program. And our educators, we need great educators. We need them, and we need them to have the tools that they need so they can do what they woke up in the morning to do, and that is to launch little leaders.
Do you believe there are some of these teachers in these schools that are more lower performing that wish they could do more, and they're aware of the fact that it's not up to snuff? They're doing the best they can in whatever paradigm paralysis they're caught in there. Is that part of the issue? Do they know it? Are they aware of it? Because my belief is that the vast majority of teachers, they're sure as heck not doing it to get rich. They're doing it because it's in their heart to teach young minds, which is a noble thing. So I'm curious what these teachers feel in some of these lower performing schools.
So I talked to some of these teachers. I talked to some of these principals. I talked to paraprofessionals and people who work in the system. And I just truly believe that people wake up in the morning to do what's best for children.
No doubt.
I have to believe that.
So what do they think when they see, and they're told all of a sudden that
they believe that the system is failing.
So the teachers at this school, where 3 out of 390 kids are literate, those teachers must feel awful.
It's not their fault. Let me tell you something. It's not their fault. What we have to understand is, if you ask a teacher right now what college or university that they went to that taught them how to teach children how to read, they can't tell you. So they weren't equipped. It's like having a surgeon going to school to learn how to do surgery without a scalpel. And so now we've got some ed reform at the higher ed level that will equip our educators while they're in college, and as they come out, they're equipped.
How is it that they can't answer that question? I mean, that's a basic thing when you're getting an education diploma on reading comprehension.
There's no such thing. There was no such thing as a class to teach children how to read. That's why it's such a failure across the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
Learn something new.
I mean,
okay, well, I had no idea.
Hey, and that didn't just come from me. You can research that. That is the truth.
There is not. But obviously there are some schools where they figured out how to do it, though, and there's reading comprehension at a higher level.
Well, you have laws that have been put in place here in Tennessee to ensure that that stops.
I see. Okay, let's take another call. We have several calls coming in. We want to get to as many of you as we can. And next up, I think, is Taisha. Is that you, Taisha?
Yes.
Good morning, ma'am. Go ahead.
I was calling in today because I'm a statistic of what's going on and what's happening now. So my question is, what's going to happen, because I'm afraid. I have 3 kids. I have 2. One that's already out of school. thank God, and another one that's about to graduate next year. And I'm working with my 5-year-old. But I was the same. I was going through school and didn't know what was going on. So it's very sad that, you know, we're out here and we don't have the proper help, and it's a lot of money involved, and we don't have these classes that these kids need, because it's very important. I was one of those kids who would get called on, and I didn't know what was going on, and it was very embarrassing, you know.
Yeah, Taisha, let me ask you this, because you're absolutely right. When you say you were caught up in it, so when you got out of school, your reading comprehension was not very good?
It was not. It has, you know, gotten better over the years with, you know, text messaging and, you know, learning with my children. But, you know, it's poor, you know, and it hurts, you know, because who do you trust? Who do you go to? Who do you ask questions? What do you do when you want to do it on your own? It gets very, you know, it gets very frustrating.
You are so right. You know, Sonya, she brings up an interesting point. Here's a woman who went through the process, and it's that cycle, because she goes through it, is not, you know, a good reader. So how is she able to help her own children learn to read? Uh-oh, we've got some construction going on in the building. We'll see if we can get that turned off. You want me to take a break? We're going to take a break. Well, all right. Or we're going to go up and break that drill. We can stay on here for a moment. So, yeah, what she just said, does that happens. Where, it sounds to me, obviously, she cares, but, you know, and she's gotten better. But how does she work with her own children if she came from a system that did not prepare her to read?
This is what we face every day. Okay. Generations and generations and generations of educational failure. And that's why we built a movement of parents and grandparents from our most struggling community, because we are those parents. Yeah. We live in these communities, and she has the right to be afraid. And as far as
I sympathize.
This is the thing that has happened over the years. Parents like the young lady that just called in have been told to fend for themselves. That they are not engaged. So she would be looked at as a parent who is not engaged, just because she's unable to teach her child.
See, that's ridiculous.
Help her
she
child at home.
wants to, but she doesn't have the ability to, because she wasn't taught how.
Generation after generation.
So that's okay. So that's okay. Aside from the system that's in there that's not teaching, then you have that to deal with. You know, I mean, so for her, she's doing the right thing. She ought to join Propel.
She ought to go to our website. NashvillePropel.org.
Nashville Propel, PROPEL. There we go. She's got it up there. NashvillePropel.org. Yes. And get involved, because she's sharp and she recognizes what she went through. Yes. And she wants her children to do better.
Many of the parents come to us and they realize, like, they weren't crazy. No. Like, they've been walking around feeling like, what in the world is going on? Like, and then they'll say, I wasn't crazy.
Meaning they're thinking that it's their problem that they couldn't get up to speed, and they don't realize that it's not their fault. It's just,
they feel like, you know, that it's a continuum that is, it causes families to spiral. We're talking about when parents don't have a choice, when they're stuck in these situations. Black folk die when we don't have a choice. We die. We die socioeconomically, education, healthcare. We will die if we don't have a choice or opportunities.
Let's take another phone call from Linda. Linda, good morning. Hi, Linda.
Good morning. I want to come from a teacher aspect of this. I was a reading specialist in the school where I worked for several years, and I want to say that our school was doing fantastic, but the thing about it is yes, the teachers get this professional development, and they are told that this is what they need to do, but in my opinion, the staff and the principal have got to get on board with what is to be taught, and not be against the person, say the reading specialist, who is disseminating the information to them. They've got to do it and not complain, and not say had experienced this as a reading specialist. I'm not going to do what we have been taught.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I was
so
wondering.
I'm just like, I don't want to get mad about this, but
I hear you.
I see it from the teacher side.
Right. And we kind of touched on that.
did.
So the teachers, like you said, it's not their fault. Many of them may know we want to go another path, but they're not really allowed to do it in that system. That's what she was saying.
Nick, I have sat across from teachers in tears. I have spoken across this country to teachers. And they want what's best for these children, but they're not listened to either. So parents are not being listened to, and educators are most definitely not being listened to. She is so right. They can see, okay, this is not working. And then they won't be listened to. And so we have a whole school year where children are stuck in this situation, where educators are stuck with doing something that possibly doesn't work for that child.
And they may even, and they know that.
And they
yet
know it.
they have no choice under the circumstance. Can't they just go rogue?
Hey,
You know, just that, well, I'm going to teach it the way I know it's going to work and help. But again, it's just one person,
but I
and it
think
has
they have
to be
to
the
teach
system.
according to the
I
science
know,
and the
I
research,
know.
which is great. But what she's really saying is, it may be a curriculum thing that school has adopted, or a way of instruction that may not fit, is what she's saying.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Let's go next to Kendall. Kendall, good morning. Hi, Kendall.
Hi,
Hi, what's on your mind?
my name is Kendall Maupin. I'm a Nashville PROPEL parent leader.
How about this? I love it. Thank you for calling.
To elaborate on what the teacher is saying, because I had a lot of teachers come to me in tears. They really tried, because Metro puts us in a one-size-fits-all that does not work for everybody. All three of us could go on a diet. A rice diet may work for me. Slim Fast may work for Miss Sonya. Keto or whatever that new stuff they got going on may work for you. They put them in a one-size-fits-all, and they tie the teacher's hands when they try to get to the bottom of why my child is not learning. Maybe it's because my student. Maybe it's because of whatever they got going on. Maybe it's environmental. But when they try to address it and say, how can we reach out to this kid, they tie their hands and they tell them to just teach. One thing I am tired of is coming out of our priority schools is when I have to tell a young man that has become victim to that prison pipeline how to fill out a money order, how to fill out a job, because he does not understand past how to put his name on a job application.
Yeah.
This is criminal.
It is. It's the most basic thing that they need to survive.
The most basic thing.
Yeah. And you know who she...
I know, Miss Bob, our parents are calling in here.
Oh, boy.
And as you see, they care. They got up
absolutely
early
they care.
in the morning. These are the parents from these most struggling communities who have the children who are zoned or attend the lowest performing school. They care. And they want the best for their children. And what I really love, they want the best for all children across Nashville.
Right.
You know?
Right. Which is what it should be.
Yes.
And people like her, parents like that, they're the ones who are going to make a difference. Listen, we have to take a break on that note. We're going to take a few more calls, continue our conversation in our final segment. It's going fast. A lot of fantastic calls right after this with our guest, Sonya Thomas. Stay with us.